Most people believe character reveals itself in dramatic moments. A crisis. A major decision. A situation where someone must choose between doing the right thing and doing the easy thing. But in reality, character rarely shows itself in those obvious moments. Why? Because when situations feel important, people are usually aware they are being watched. They behave carefully. They present the best version of themselves. The real signals of character often appear somewhere else entirely. They appear in small situations that most people consider insignificant. A casual conversation. A minor mistake. An unexpected change of plans. Moments where no one feels the need to perform. In those quiet moments, people often reveal something about themselves without realizing it. How they react. How they speak. How they treat the situation in front of them. These behaviors may seem small, but over time they form a pattern that others begin to notice. Not consciously at first. But gradually people begin forming impressions. About reliability. About maturity. About integrity. In this conversation, we are going to explore several small behaviors that quietly reveal a person's character. And once you begin noticing them, you may find yourself observing these moments everywhere. In conversations. In meetings. Even in your own reactions. Because character does not usually reveal itself when people are trying to impress others. It reveals itself in the moments they believe no one is paying attention. One of the first places character quietly reveals itself is in how someone reacts when they are corrected. Imagine a simple situation that happens in everyday conversation. Someone mentions a detail about a project, a date, or a fact they believe to be correct. Another person gently points out that the information might be slightly different. The correction is small. Nothing serious is at stake. Yet what happens in the next few seconds often reveals more about someone than the mistake itself. Some people react almost instantly. They begin explaining why they said what they said. They clarify the circumstances. They may even challenge the correction itself. The goal shifts from understanding the situation to protecting the original statement. The correction becomes something to resist rather than consider. Others respond differently. They pause for a moment and simply acknowledge it. "You're right, I didn't realize that." The difference between these reactions is subtle, but it reveals something important about a person's relationship with their own ego. When someone feels the need to defend every small mistake, it often signals that being correct feels more important than being accurate. But when someone can acknowledge a correction calmly, it shows a different kind of confidence. It shows that their sense of self is not threatened by being wrong about a small detail. Another quiet moment where character reveals itself appears in group conversations. Picture a discussion among several people. Someone begins sharing an experience or explaining an idea. As the story unfolds, there are moments where others could jump in. They could interrupt with their own story or redirect the conversation toward themselves. And many people do exactly that. They add a similar story before the first person finishes. They shift the conversation toward their own perspective. Sometimes they do this without even realizing it. But others approach these moments differently. They allow the story to finish completely. They ask a question before offering their own experience. They give the speaker space to express their idea fully. At first, this may seem like simple politeness. But it often signals something deeper. It shows that the person is comfortable allowing others to occupy the spotlight for a moment. They do not feel the need to compete for attention in every conversation. This kind of patience often reflects emotional stability. A third moment where character quietly appears is during small frustrations. Life is full of minor inconveniences. Technology freezes during an important task. Plans take longer than expected. Something simple becomes temporarily complicated. These moments rarely feel significant, yet they create small tests of temperament. Some people react immediately. Their tone sharpens. Their patience disappears. The frustration becomes visible to everyone around them. Others respond differently. They take a breath. They adjust their expectations. They treat the inconvenience as a temporary situation rather than a personal disruption. What makes these reactions revealing is that they occur when no one is trying to impress anyone else. People are simply reacting naturally. And in those reactions, something authentic begins to appear. The interesting thing about these moments is that they rarely stand out dramatically. They are quiet signals that accumulate over time. Someone notices how often another person becomes defensive. Someone else remembers how calm someone remained when things became inconvenient. Individually, each moment may seem small. But together, they begin forming a pattern. And patterns are what eventually shape the way people understand someone's character. In the next part, we'll explore several other moments where character quietly reveals itself, especially in situations involving responsibility, reliability, and how people handle commitments that seem too small to matter. Another place where character quietly reveals itself is in how someone handles responsibility, especially when the responsibility seems small. Imagine a situation that happens frequently in everyday life. Someone promises to send a message later. Perhaps they say they will share a document, follow up on an idea, or call someone back when they have more information. In the moment, the promise feels casual. It doesn't carry the weight of a formal agreement or a major obligation. But watch what happens afterward. Some people follow through without needing reminders. They remember what they said they would do, even when the task is small. They send the message, make the call, or complete the action exactly as they mentioned earlier. Others treat these small commitments differently. The promise fades quickly from their attention. Hours pass, sometimes days, and the follow-up never happens unless someone reminds them. At first glance, this difference may seem insignificant. But over time, these patterns quietly shape how people perceive reliability. Someone who consistently follows through on small commitments signals that their words can be trusted. Someone who regularly forgets them signals something else, that their intentions may be sincere, but their consistency is uncertain. And consistency is one of the strongest foundations of character. Another subtle moment where character appears is when plans change unexpectedly. Life rarely follows perfect schedules. Meetings are moved. Traffic delays plans. Events shift in ways that no one anticipated. In these moments, reactions often reveal emotional flexibility. Some people resist change immediately. They focus on the inconvenience, repeating how the situation has disrupted their expectations. Their frustration grows as they describe how things were supposed to happen. Others respond with a different attitude. They recognize that change is often unavoidable. Instead of focusing on the disruption, they adjust their expectations and continue moving forward. What makes this difference meaningful is not the inconvenience itself. It is the mindset behind the response. People who adapt calmly often demonstrate a deeper understanding that circumstances will never always align perfectly with plans. And this awareness creates a quiet form of stability that others tend to notice. Another revealing behavior appears during conversations about people who are not present. In casual discussions, someone might mention a colleague, a neighbor, or a mutual acquaintance. The conversation may naturally drift into describing that person's decisions or behavior. Listen carefully to how these descriptions unfold. Some individuals speak with generosity. Even when they disagree with someone's actions, they explain the situation carefully and avoid exaggerating mistakes. Others take a different approach. They highlight flaws quickly. They repeat criticisms or emphasize what someone did wrong. These habits may seem harmless in the moment, but they create a subtle impression among listeners. Because people often draw a quiet conclusion. If someone consistently speaks harshly about others, there is a strong possibility they may one day speak the same way about them. Trust grows in environments where conversations remain respectful, even when the person being discussed is not present. Another quiet indicator of character appears when someone receives recognition. Perhaps a colleague thanks them for their help. Perhaps someone compliments their work or acknowledges their contribution. Some individuals respond to recognition with grace. They accept the appreciation and move forward without turning the moment into something larger. Others feel the need to expand on the compliment. They explain the full story, emphasize how difficult the task was, or add details that reinforce their own effort. Neither reaction is necessarily wrong, but the difference reveals something about how comfortable someone is with quiet acknowledgement. People who are secure in their contributions rarely feel the need to amplify recognition. They allow the moment to remain simple. Over time, these small behaviors, how someone handles promises, adapts to change, speaks about others, and receives recognition, begin forming a pattern. And that pattern quietly shapes the reputation others begin associating with their character. In the next part, we will explore some of the most revealing moments of all, situations where someone's response to success, mistakes, and pressure reveals the deeper values guiding their behavior. Some of the most revealing signals of character appear in moments when something goes wrong. Not dramatic failures. Not life-changing mistakes. Just ordinary situations where someone realizes that their judgment was incorrect. Perhaps a decision they supported did not work out as expected. Perhaps a plan they recommended created complications instead of solutions. These situations happen constantly in everyday life, yet the response to them often reveals something deeper than the mistake itself. Some people react by protecting their original position. They explain the circumstances surrounding the decision. They highlight the factors that were outside their control. Sometimes they search for another explanation that makes the situation appear less like an error. Others approach the moment differently. They acknowledge what happened directly. They recognize that their understanding at the time was incomplete, and they adjust their thinking accordingly. What makes this reaction powerful is not the admission of the mistake itself. It is the willingness to prioritize learning over pride. People who can recognize their own misjudgments calmly often create an atmosphere where others feel safe doing the same. Another revealing moment appears when someone experiences success. This might seem like an unusual situation for character to appear, but success often exposes habits that remain hidden during ordinary circumstances. When someone achieves recognition, gains a new opportunity, or reaches a personal milestone, the way they carry themselves afterward can reveal their relationship with achievement. Some people become noticeably different when success arrives. They speak more about their accomplishments. They reference their achievements in conversations that have little to do with the original success. Gradually, the focus shifts from the achievement itself to the attention it brings. Others behave differently. They acknowledge the success, appreciate the moment, and then return their attention to the work or relationships that led them there. The achievement becomes part of their story, but not the center of their identity. Observers often notice this difference. Because the way someone handles success frequently reveals whether they view achievement as a tool for growth or a platform for recognition. Another subtle signal of character appears during moments when someone has the opportunity to take advantage of a situation. These opportunities are rarely obvious. Perhaps someone could take credit for an idea that was originally shared by someone else. Perhaps they could remain silent when another person is mistakenly blamed for a decision they influenced. Moments like these rarely attract immediate attention. Yet the choices people make in those situations often define how others perceive their integrity. People who choose fairness in quiet moments build a reputation that travels further than they may realize. And reputation often grows through stories others tell when someone is not present. There is one final habit that reveals character over time, and it appears in how someone responds when another person succeeds. A friend shares exciting news about a new opportunity. A colleague receives recognition for work they have completed. Someone close to us experiences a moment of progress. The reactions to these moments can reveal quiet emotions. Some people celebrate easily. They ask questions, express enthusiasm, and allow the other person to enjoy the moment fully. Others react differently. They compare their own progress. They shift the conversation toward their own experiences or minimize the significance of the achievement. These reactions may only last a few seconds, but they are often remembered. Because genuine support for the success of others reflects a deep sense of personal security. Over time, these moments, how someone responds to mistakes, success, opportunity, and the achievements of others, create a pattern. And that pattern quietly reveals the values guiding someone's behavior. Character is rarely defined by a single action. It is revealed through consistent responses to the ordinary situations that shape everyday life. When people observe those responses repeatedly, they begin to understand not only how someone behaves, but what truly matters to them. And that understanding is what ultimately forms the reputation we carry into every room we enter. Before we end, take a moment to think about something important. Character is rarely revealed in dramatic situations. Most of the time, it appears in the small moments people barely notice. The way someone reacts when they are corrected. The way they handle responsibility. The way they respond when plans change, when success arrives, or when mistakes become visible. Individually, these moments may seem insignificant. But over time they create patterns. And those patterns quietly shape how people experience us. The encouraging part is that awareness changes everything. When we begin noticing these small behaviors in ourselves, we gain the opportunity to refine them. To respond with more patience. More thoughtfulness. More consistency. And those small adjustments often shape the kind of character people trust, respect, and remember. If conversations like this help you think more clearly about human behavior, relationships, and the quiet habits that improve our lives, then this channel may continue to be useful to you. So if you feel these discussions bring value to your life, consider subscribing so you can join us in future conversations. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next discussion.